Now. All right, welcome to the Quarantine Check-In. My guest today is one of the members of the comedy collective, Pizza and Hummus. Really funny guy. Please welcome Richie McLonis to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here, man. How are you?
I am doing well, just trying to survive, not really being able to go anywhere, do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm bored. I'm bored out of my...
Yeah, have you found a new thing? Have you gotten to where you're creating a new hobby, or how are you coping with the boredom?
Why don't we talk about that at the end of this?
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't want to get into something right away because we'll get to that. Let me ask you, how are you coping with the boredom?
I'm doing okay. I'm not doing as good as I thought I would do, but not bad, because I'm always been the person who's like I can never run out of hobbies or things I'd be interested in trying out, And so I'm like, oh, if I just had endless free time, I'd still be able to fill it. And that's not the case. Yeah.
I am doing the worst thing possible. I am watching every episode of The Big Bang Theory right now.
Oh no. Is it holding up? Is it
There's some really good writing on the show, but I'm to the point now where, all the characters have girlfriends, and I'm like, well, this show isn't realistic anymore.
Right, they're not nerds anymore. It's over.
Yeah, I have a theory that once a show passes its third season, the characters start changing radically for the worse.
In shows in general?
Yeah, for most shows.
Yeah.
Because the third season is when the contracts start coming up for renewal and people start wanting creative control, and you can just see one, you know what? I want my character to hook up with the hot blonde right now.
Yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of the shows, unless it's a really open theme of the show, which is even riskier to try to get it to work, unless it's something like that, they really only How I Met Your Mother. Okay, are we going to meet the mother or not? It's a limited time frame. Or that 70s show. There's only so many years in the decade of the 70s until they're...
Well, think about it. The show MASH took place during the Korean War. The Korean War was 3 years. We'll probably say that, no one, the tour of duty is 1 or 2 years. I don't know because I've never been in the Army. That show went for either 11 or 12 years. And, they aged a decade plus for a war that they would have only been in for a short period of time.
Right. Yeah. I ran out of, I went through all Comedians in Cars. I went through, I'm just going through all of the stand-ups that I haven't seen 10 times, and then Ozark. And that's what my media consumption has been.
Yeah, I've been watching The Big Bang Theory and Doctor Who.
Okay. I've been meaning to get a Doctor Who. My sister's really into it. I think, are you doing the old version or the new one, or both?
I've been going through, for about a year, I've been trying to watch all the Matt Smith episodes, and I just those, and I'm going to take a little break for a while.
Yeah.
And then find something else to watch, but I'm a big fan of horror movies, and right now I have not been in any mood to watch them because I'm in this horrible horror movie right now.
What would be your top 3 or so horror movies?
All right, Suspiria,
okay,
Halloween, and Fudge. I really like the first Hostel movie. I don't know.
Okay.
I consider that horror.
What was the first one you said?
Suspiria, the original version from the 70s.
I don't think I've seen that.
It's a slow burn Italian film.
Ooh.
It's really good. The remake's also really good, but very different movies with a similar plot.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
What would you say your 3 favorite horror movies are?
The Conjuring, the first 2 Insidious. There's a couple other ones that trickle in that I really like the one I can't even think of it, the Lazarus Effect. I think is that the one with the mirror with the oh god Oculus.
Oh, I saw that one because Karen Gillan from Doctor Who was on that.
Oh really?
Yeah, I don't remember it being a good thing. The recent horror movies I really like. I like the Happy Death Day films.
I saw the first one. That was good. I like that.
The second one is they pivot from horror to science fiction. And I'm like, all right, you guys, I hope this franchise continues for a while because it's so much fucking fun.
Is it? So it just, what, it did just not follow like the general formula for it, where it just got more focused on like what made it more science fiction?
Because they explain why she kept on going back in time and reliving that day over again.
Okay, I see. So that does get into then like a Doctor Who, like a sci-fi.
But you have to do that to make because it's going to get old if every movie she's always going back and reliving the day. You got to add more elements to it.
Yeah.
I think they found a successful way to do it.
That's kind of cool that worked as a sequel.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I saw both of those in theaters, which is rare because I normally don't go see horror films in theaters because I think they're so bad.
Really? Well, okay, no, I agree actually, because I think the most recent one, I don't remember what it was, but horror films are so weighted on the pauses and the buildup of the tension. And I think if you're going to like a premiere of a movie that's somewhat of a blockbuster and horror, there's just too many chances for people to ruin the moment.
Let me rephrase that. I agree, but I think like if the movie is packed, it's going to be a lot of fun. Like, but horror movies, like for the most part, aren't packed. Like,
no,
there's maybe 10, 12 people in there. And years ago, I went and saw a sneak preview for the first Saw film, which I think is a horrible movie.
Yeah.
But it was packed, and you have a good time just with like a comedy show. You're feeding off the energy of everyone in there.
Yeah, a packed comedy movie premiere is awesome.
What's your favorite comedy movies?
Oh God. Wow. These are I really am a big I'm gonna pick such wrong ones. I'm not gonna think of the ones I actually like. Because it's nothing too crazy. I'm a big fan of okay, so a lot of Will Ferrell, the classic ones that you would imagine. Big fan of like Grandma's Boy and a lot of Judd Apatow with earlier on with Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill. So things like I saw Superbad when I was 18 in theaters, and it was like it was the first movie that kind of broke the Seth Rogen every movie is the same. But it was the first one, and it blew my mind open. And it was because I was 18, so I was the demographic. And so that one, it always makes me laugh. I don't really have very eclectic taste for comedy movies. I kind of like what you would expect I would like.
Last night, I watched, I was going through my movies at home, and I discovered I owned on Blu-ray the Adam Sandler, Andy Samberg movie, That's My Boy.
Oh, yeah.
And I decided to watch it last night, and I actually really fucking liked it. It was so stupid.
Yeah. I really like This Is the End. I'm a really big fan of that movie. Scary Movie 3, I watched 2 nights ago. Haven't watched it in forever, and I was like, that was more nostalgia just because it was just like, oh, here comes this part where like, it was like Kevin Hart's like first like real like other than Soul Plane.
I thought his first movie was 40-Year-Old Virgin as the customer who came in to the store.
Was that?
Fun fact, Kevin Hart's an Apatow guy too. He was on, I think, 1 or 2 episodes of Undeclared in 2001.
Oh, I didn't know that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird of who the people who have come through the Apatow
yeah. He kind of touches on a lot of, because you would imagine like zoomed out that it would be like there's the Sandler, Happy Madison, there's Will Ferrell and them, and then it's going to be Jonah Hill and Seth Rogen and them. But they kind of touch on each other a lot.
Yeah, because they're all like Apatow. It's weird. Apatow went to college with Sandler.
Really?
Yeah, like at the beginning of Funny People, they're showing videos of Adam Sandler in his dorm room.
Oh yeah.
Apatow was one of those people.
Yeah.
Apatow basically gave Seth Rogen, Jonah Hill their careers.
Right.
What's his name?
The guy. We're talking about the same guy, the hot guy. The Franco, yeah.
He with Freaks and Geeks, and again, all gave those guys their career. It's just weird. And Jonah Hill, who is an Academy Award nominated actor for Moneyball, which I don't think he should have been nominated at all.
Yeah.
That movie was boring as fuck.
He got nominated. He lost, I remember, to Jared Leto when he was in the Scorsese film Wolf of Wall Street. He lost to, I was really actually rooting for, I thought Jonah Hill was going to get Best Supporting Actor, and he lost to Jared Leto for
Dallas Club.
Yeah.
So Jared Leto deserved it because he lost weight and became that role.
Yeah, he became the role.
Jonah Hill just had some weird prosthetic teeth in his mouth.
He got the teeth and was like, I'm serious actor now, so deal with it.
I saw Wolf of Wall Street on Christmas Day when it came out at a small theater in Kansas City.
Yeah.
And there were these two teenage boys in there, and whenever boobs came on the screen, they stood up and started applauding. I wish I had their confidence.
Right. That's probably one of my, in the top, I don't know, whatever, favorite comedy movies is Wolf of Wall Street. I just love the movie overall, and I die every time I watch it. And there's like certain pockets of it where it's just hilarious.
It's a great film. I mean, Scorsese is one of the best directors.
Yeah.
Ever.
Yeah.
So let's kind of change topics a little bit. Let's talk about comedy. What made you start doing it?
I started it. I always wanted to do it, and it was like the only genuine thing on my bucket list, because I thought a bucket list was kind of like, okay, Grand Canyon, whatever. And I thought it was just kind of a lame concept. But then I was like, okay, I guess I'd be upset if I died and I didn't do comedy. At least try stand-up. And then I went through a breakup, and then I was either going to get bangs or start doing stand-up, and so I started doing stand-up.
Where was your first show?
It was my first show was actually at Ridley's.
Okay.
I called. I was like, "Hey, I guess this is how it works," and then they called me like, "You're on," and then I was like, "Shit, I better figure out what I'm doing." But my first, like, I guess, actual mic, Brett and Kyle Forsyth were doing a show in, oh my God, it was such a bad bar. It was the Irish Craft. Okay. And it's in closer to, I think it's on Mound, Mound in like, I don't know, 12 or 18 or something. And I bombed super hard, and then I did like 2 or more times, and they stopped running that mic.
That sucks. Oh, was it Brett Hayden?
Yeah, Brett Hayden and Kyle Forsyth, they ran a mic there. And it was one of, he was like, "Hey, everybody." And all my friends came again to this bar and, Irish Craft. And it was fun, but I just remembered, I was like, oh, this is very different than Ridley's. It was just a weird thing.
Yeah. Ridley's I wish my first open mic would have been at Ridley's.
Yeah.
But it's so weird. Like, you're like, I can't tell the story again. Like, my first thing was a showcase and not a mic.
Really?
Yeah, I had a friend who ran a really good showcase. Guy from episode 2, Matt Keck, did a show called Lucha Raptor. We worked together. He put me up, and that was fucking awesome. Then I did the open mic there at the same bar 2 nights later. It did not go well.
Yeah.
Not go well at all. So you along with Jarrett and Vince run Pizza and Hummus. How did that come together? That you guys, or first of all, how did you guys become kind of a comedy unit?
So we're friends from high school, and we did sketches. We filmed sketches in high school, And I loved doing that. It's like my favorite thing. And I keep trying to, I'm always writing ideas for sketches down, but then right now, as of now, I don't, Vince is actually in like video production and editing. So I always I have an idea and I'm like, I don't want to do it unless it's getting the full, all three of us
Right.
effort and like all of our skills. And so, but yeah, we started doing that, and then they went to Grand Valley and they started doing stand up there, and I wasn't doing it at all. And that probably added to me wanting to do it because, they're bonding at Grand Valley and I'm over here, and they're like, they're doing stand up and they're getting closer friends. And so, then they moved back after school, and then I don't know how much longer later they stopped doing it, and then we all started back up once I started.
Okay.
Yeah.
Last show I think I did with you was also the last show I've done since this whole pandemic.
Okay, yeah.
It was at the Pizza and Hummus at the Escape Bowling Arcade, and it was a great show. Vince's set fucking blew me away.
Yeah.
His new stuff is so good.
I was very excited for him to come back after his hiatus because I know like his stuff is he makes storytelling work where it usually doesn't on our level, I would say. And then I was excited with him coming back and having the inspiration that he has. And yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, I wish I stayed for the rest of the show, but I had, for people who don't know, I had back issues. Like I fell and
I was going to ask, how are you doing now?
I'm better. Just have a little bit of nerve damage. I've been able to go for like small runs.
Okay.
But it's still some little nerve damage, but hopefully by the time this is all over, that'll be cleared up.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the show. How long you've been doing that for over a year now, a year and a half?
Yeah, the show, the Pizza and Hummus Presents show, we've been doing since last November. So I'd say a year and a half. Yeah, so Dan Wallach was running the show there. We had him on the podcast when we were doing the Pizza and Hummus podcast, and I don't remember if he knew or not that we were interested or we thought about it, or the fact that he just knew us. And he was like, hey, I want to see if you guys might be interested in taking over. I'm no longer, whatever. I don't want to run the show anymore, whatever. And then we just went from there and took it over.
Yeah, it's what I like best about your showcase is you do different things every month. Like you have the talk show, you do the roast battles, and I think that's a really cool way to keep your shows fresh.
Yeah, it's tough too because we're kind of battling with just in general, like it's almost you want to keep in mind the audience's perspective or the potential audiences of why would I come or why would I come again, and so other than the goal is to not rely on friends, family to come. I would love for it to be not exclusively, but primarily people who just want to come to a comedy show, and because we did something right with marketing or word of mouth, they're coming because we have some sort of trust to it, or this is going to be good again, or they're doing a late night talk show, live podcast, kind of anything to draw them to the show again. Because we know, my name, our names aren't going to bring you into a show unless you're my mom.
Yeah, your mom comes to all my shows.
Right. Robert Schneider brings her into the show.
I am her first favorite comic. I didn't want to break that news to you on here, but
I know she said she had news for me. She just texted me, so I figured that this was coming together.
Yeah. I think your pops likes my show as well. So
yeah.
But no, that's the hard thing about running a show is like building an audience and keeping them interested in coming back every month.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I've been dealing with that with my shows, and right before this all went down, I think my show at the comic shop finally we started getting a good size audience for every show.
Yeah, I mean, the time I went, it was great audience. The pictures are always seem to be a pretty good turnout for the most part. Would you say, or was
Yeah,
it?
but they've been getting bigger, like to the point where it was like the last one was almost standing room only.
That's pretty sweet.
But part of it figures out. I put headliners in, like I had the Homance Chronicles, so they draw their own audience,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's the way it's going to have to be if the shows keep on running after this.
Yeah.
So where do you think it's all going to end up?
How so? Wait, what do you mean?
When this is lifted, how do you think it's going to be? Do you think we're going to have shows for a while?
I think the second it's not the second. I think it's going to lift whenever it lifts. Who knows? Because right now it's the end of April, right? That's where it's set at.
May 1st.
May 1st, yeah. So it lifts. I think give it some time for the bars and stuff like that will all open up right away, I'd say. And then it'll just take maybe a month of people contacting them to start the mics up. So I'd give it a month after it lifts for open mics to be starting to come up. And then I can't even give a gauge as far as like a place like Ridley's where they're exclusively large gatherings. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
I don't even have a guess.
See, my worry about open mics is they're going to limit how many comics are going to be on the shows. Because
Yeah, I could see that.
we're still going to be practicing social distancing for a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, and that also worries me that some of the bars and venues might not be around when this is all done.
Yeah, that'll be tough too. Of the ones that if they just couldn't survive it, that'll be scary for them, and then it'll lead to just a whole different. I think there's going to be maybe more on a lighter side of things. I think there's going to be a lot of new comics. I was just talking about this. Like, there was I listened to a couple comedy podcasts where they mentioned a lot of the comics that are big now. They said that 9/11 was an event that made them really take stand up seriously after it happened. And so, not comparing the two events, you wonder if this will be somewhere like, oh, I was thinking about doing stand up, and now that I can finally get back out there, I'm going to really go for it.
Yeah, but we got to think about it a little bit more. The world after 9/11 was a lot different than it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the internet, but we didn't have YouTube. There wasn't streaming Netflix. And there were more venues to do comedy.
Yeah.
And I was here in 2001. I think in 2001 we still had Chaplin's, we still had Joey's, we had tons. There were more comedy clubs here.
Yeah.
Now we're down to 4.
That's true.
And the other thing is, I saw Roy Wood Jr. on a podcast where he was saying that it's going to be so much more competitive because the people who are doing stadiums aren't, those tours are going to be over. They're going to be doing clubs. So they're going to be pushing people who are in clubs out of the headlining role. So
yeah, there's going to be a lot of getting bumped basically off of the set because there's so many that are back on there. Yeah, I could see that.
What are your plans for the first Pizza and Hummus show?
Nothing yet. I'll be honest, I haven't even thought about it. We had I really didn't, I like partially, it wasn't even fully booked. The show with the one show we had to cancel. I think the March show. I can't remember which show was the last one we did, but the following show that we ended up having to cancel wasn't fully booked. So no plans like that as far as what we'll do. I think it'll have to be something, not much communication from the venue right now. So who knows how long before that'll be, regardless of when we're back up and running or when, the quarantine ends currently for
Right.
business travel. Yeah.
So let's talk about one of the other last shows we were on in Oxford, Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
where there was a really, really drunk, obnoxious guy.
Oh yes, yeah. That was great.
It was awesome.
That was a good. That guy. I love that room so much, but and that guy was just like. That's one of like the rougher types of hecklers to deal with, because it's like it's not like, because a lot of times the heckler is like he's just like he's like threatened by the idea that attention isn't on him right now, and maybe he's influenced by alcohol, most likely, at least a little bit.
That guy definitely was.
But this guy, it was like, it wasn't even like that. It was just, he was just so drunk that he was like interrupting. He wasn't just being like an ambient level of disruptive. He was like interrupting punchlines perfectly. Like, cause it was so non-coherent. It was just like, I don't know if I've ever ran into that level of incoherence as from a heckler before.
You were kind of frozen for a second during that.
What I just said?
No, you were kind of frozen when he was talking during your set.
Yeah, because I had like a couple things, because I've seen him for a while, so I had a few good lines for him, and then he said another thing, and I'm like, okay, well, time to go out for a cigarette. Get please, just okay, leave. And then eventually you're either going to ignore him or you aren't. And that was probably the pausing of just like, I'm just going to talk over him at this point.
Yeah, he was interesting.
Yeah.
I tried to get him to shut up, but I think he left during my set and came back afterwards.
I'm trying to think. That might have been the case. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was a fun night though. I love Steve and Billy's and Shane shows.
Yeah, same.
They're all so friggin' funny. Now, I know you recently went on tour with Dustin Burwell, Jim Elliott, Justin O'Leary, to the far reaches of northern Michigan.
The far reaches, yeah. We got the bus, nationwide, northern Michigan.
Now, what was the reaction like to you guys?
The
reaction to your guys' material up there?
Oh, it was. I'm trying to think. It was, so we had a couple shows up there, and we did one. The first one we did was probably the best, and it was exactly what you would have hoped as far as the reaction and and the crowd and everything. That was great. And then after that, we did end up doing a VFW fundraiser. No, it was at an Eagles Club fundraiser. And that was a little, we weren't sure going in. We saw like all ages partially, and we were like, and you didn't know what how it was gonna go, and the lights were on, and when we got there, we couldn't see, we couldn't tell where the stage. So like we walked in and we weren't sure what was going on, and then that ended up being a really awesome show too. And it was, and there was like, there's bingo going on, or the silent raffle and stuff like that. And it ended up fitting in perfectly. And it really, the build up to it, it was just a bunch of stuff that made you think it was not going to go well. We're at it. Like I said, it was all ages. The lights are on. I think Dustin had to help them set up the PA system or get it set up. And so, but I mean, that was a good show. It was great.
I love shows like that. I love shows where you walk in thinking this is going to be so fucking shitty, and it turns out to be a great night.
Yeah, it was really great, and everyone was just so nice, and they were. You know what a really good thing was that I think that helped is, because a part of it too. You walk in, you're in Northern Michigan. We're like, are they going to care about my material about? I don't know. I'm 27 and I have, I don't know. I have a demographic of younger, my age people, and they're either older or it's their kids. And then when I think it was Justin, when he was walking in, someone murmured, "Oh, you guys look like a boy band," or like insulting us as we were walking in, and then Justin hosted, or brought us all and opened, and he mentioned that, and he did a really good job of setting the context of us being there, and I think that helped a lot.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Justin's so friggin' funny. I mean,
Yeah.
all of are funny.
Yeah.
Where did we meet? Where did we first meet at? Was it at Tiki Bar?
I mean, that would be a good guess. I'm not sure beyond. I feel like it would have to be the Tiki Bar. I'm trying to think of when, because I mean, it had to have been what, 3 years ago.
It would have been two. I've been here for 2 years and 4 months. So
okay, so yeah.
I think it was Tiki Bar.
Did you ever do? I don't think so. Did you ever do Laugh Tracks?
Yes, I did. I moved here like at the end of December in 2017, and I contacted Steve DeVinny to see if I could get on the show. He's like, "Yep." So I was there the last night of Laugh Tracks, and it was.
Really?
There was no fucking heat. I had to wear my jacket and gloves on stage because I was afraid of getting frostbite.
Yeah.
And I had all like a bunch of friends who I hadn't seen like in maybe 10 years.
Yeah.
All showed up to watch me perform. It was a good set, but it was fucking cold and miserable.
Yeah, and then you wonder why. Yeah, so I'd probably say, because I wasn't there for that, so I'd probably say Tiki Bar is probably the safest bet.
That's a fun room.
Yeah.
Especially when there's people there, but
it's just a really good room to work out material that's actually, I don't know if you, like, I kind of tier my material as far as how like written it is, how ready it is. And it's like, for material you're actually giving a shot. You know what I mean? Probably not your first time trying material, but like, I did it, maybe there's something here, and now I've written the outline. I feel like it's one of the best rooms for getting it ready, because it's usually going to be more than just comedians. They're usually going to be your demographic for if you're doing a comedy club, as far as the age range, it's not going to be just comics and stuff like that. So I think it's a really good room for that.
I agree. Like I have rooms where I'll introduce new material. Tiki is one of them, and Sam Rager's room at Cave is the other one.
Okay.
Because that one, it's just comics, and if I can get a laugh out of Sam or Paul Pipitone or one or two other people, I know I have something there, and then I'll start reworking it.
Yeah.
Like, what's your writing process?
I will okay. Usually, like, the base of an idea will come out of thin air. I mean, it always will, the base of it, unless it comes when I'm working out other material, but I won't get into that. So usually I'll have the base of a material, and lately I've been doing more handwritten outlining and mapping it. But for the most part, up to now, it's been a lot of recording myself in the car and just kind of free thinking.
That's kind of what I do. I'll think of an idea, and then I'll talk it out. I'll record it, and then I'll go perform it just to hear what it sounds like, and then start internally making notes of, right, get rid of that. Let's add something there. That's a good laugh. Maybe we can expand on it. And then I'll listen to my recording and go home and transcribe it.
Yeah.
That's when I'll do the writing part. But I feel like when I just put pen to paper initially, those jokes don't work because they're just too overthought.
Yeah, I was in earlier on, when anytime I would do I'm going to wake up every day, I'm going to write for 20 minutes a day. What I ended up doing, at least before, was it was just me rewriting my jokes I already have, and then me looking at the paper, and then nothing was coming.
Right.
But I don't know what changed recently but my outlining process, my handwritten outlining process, I think I've just gotten better at mapping and trying to, web the different, whatever it might be. How would it look from this perspective? And what other things do these people do, or what that process has gotten a little better for me. So the handwriting has helped, or has been a little bit more of an effective process lately.
You have one of my favorite bits of the overconfident guy.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that joke because there's so many layers to it.
Yeah.
That's so funny. And the first time I heard that, I'm like, holy crap, he now has that golden joke in his set.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
It's so fucking good. And it's I love it when I see my comedy friends do something that takes them to the next level. I think one of the best things about being in a really good scene and knowing a lot of really funny people is like, all right, this is awesome. Now,
because a lot of times I really appreciate that. Wow. A lot of times you like we know each other's voices better than possibly like I don't know, just recently, I think the last show I did was at 342, and like Brennan Charles, like I know his voice on stage, not better than he does, but in a way where he said a joke that night, and I remember thinking, okay, he's finally leaning, not finally like he wasn't, but he's leaning into his voice. Like it's a cool feeling that he's figuring it out and it's going to go well.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I've known Brennan, I think, since he really started doing comedy here.
Mm-hmm.
And where he was a year ago to today, it's like a different comic. He tells some of the same jokes, and I think he is just really funny, and I hope he makes it out there.
Yeah.
So I get scared trying to think about like what the next phase of my comedy life is going to be, because I had a trajectory, but this pandemic kind of threw everything off.
Yeah. And I try to hope or stay optimistic that hopefully it's like when we're back, it's like a break that we never would have took before that may lead to the best thing ever. But honestly, who knows? Like that's too cliche to be true, but also who knows, where there's no way in the world you would take a 2+ month break from doing it, but sometimes standing, maybe the fact that you stood away that long and you're like, oh, now everything is with fresh eyes.
Who was that Australian comic or New Zealand comic? She had Hannah Gads. I can't remember her name.
Hannah Gatsby?
Yeah, her last special. I did watch that, and I thought it was brilliant.
Okay, I haven't seen it.
Because I think it's I want to call it anti-comedy, and I'm starting to think, because we've all been through this horrible event that's going on right now.
Right.
I wonder, how it's going to transform our styles and our joke telling.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to be we're not the same person we were when this thing started, because we've all been affected by this in some way or another. Some of it's job loss, some of it is we lost a friend or family member. Depression and anxiety has risen exponentially since this has started.
Oh, so
fundamentally, it's changing who we are. And for comics, how is it going to change us? Are some of our jokes that worked before going to work when this is all said and done? Has our point of view shifted to the point where, all right, maybe I need to become something different?
Yeah.
And I think, that might be the case for a lot of us, because I do think when we get back to this, at the first open mic, we're going to have a lot of people telling a lot of the same COVID-19 jokes, a lot of the same quarantine jokes. It's now, how do we find the funny of the pain that we went through with this without saying the same shit everyone else is saying?
Right. And then also, there's going to be so much COVID material, but at the same time, it'll either breed survival of the fittest. If you're going to do a coronavirus joke and you're going to keep doing it, it better be amazing to survive the 1 million other jokes about it. And then also, if you're going to get on stage right after a quarantine and you're going to talk about cats, it better be a pretty damn good cat joke that like, are you kidding me? You're going to talk about anything other than this? It better be good.
I'm just going to do my joke about it. Like, I learned through this quarantine, my cat and I have the same bathroom schedule. That is going to be the whole premise of the joke. Because whenever I come out of the bathroom, he's walking out of his litter box. We give each other the nod. Go our ways. Yeah.
That's a. I think it'll be a good way to, because I wrote a couple jokes that are indirectly related as a result of coronavirus, being quarantined. My living situation is now this, and because it's this, I have these 3 jokes I'm working on, or whatever it is. So because in spite of, or because of the quarantine, maybe it's not directly about it, but that's the segue, and it brought me into a new perspective or whatever.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Richie, this has been a blast, but usually end this thing by pursuing my favorite new hobby, reading the misconnections ads on Craigslist.
Okay.
I'm going to read one to you, and hopefully you can riff a joke off of it.
Okay.
Okay. This one is from someone in Wayne County, Michigan. We met at Operation Gridlock. I saw you protesting outside the Capitol building. You were a hot brunette, mid-30s, wearing a MAGA hat. I am the overweight man holding a rifle and wearing a Confederate flag shirt and mask. You came up to me and said, "Nice shirt." We had a short conversation about how Governor Whitmer is like President Lincoln. You know, he forced his liberal agenda on the God-loving South. And let me tell you, like the South, we will rise. You then taught me that Lincoln was a Republican. I didn't believe you. But then you took out your phone, went on the World Wide Web, and proved me wrong. No woman has ever told me that I was wrong. And you know what? I kind of liked it. I want to know what else you can teach me. Tell me what my tattoo looked like. If you get it right, I'd love to take you to your favorite restaurant as soon as we get our steak back. Chili's.
That was the best thing I've ever heard. First of all, the fact that her favorite restaurant wasn't Golden Corral is blowing my mind right now. Secondly, he's like, who was I? Everyone who was there. And then he just described everyone. He goes, I looked like I was in the Civil War. See if you can find
So I love that. So at the beginning of this, you asked me what I've been doing to stay creative and funny.
Yeah.
I've been posting Craigslist misconnection.
Is that you?
Yeah, I wrote that.
I was just going to say, there's no way that wasn't written.
All right, let me read you some of the comments I got on this one.
Oh my God.
Where is it? This is funny. This was from a guy named Edsel Ford, not their real name. Dumbass redneck. Wish you all would go back down south and stay there. Almost 200 years and you people haven't evolved. Still stupid and disrespectful of the American flag by flying a Confederate one. Now, I will point out whoever this Edsel Ford is, they were not respectful to the word American since they did not capitalize it. And then my other favorite one out of this one was from a guy by the name of A-Train, and he responded to what my tattoo was. Your tattoo was a big black cock.
Cue the 13-year-old. I got this one, guys. He goes, here it goes. Here is the tattoo.
So yeah, I've been doing that. This
wow, that's amazing.
I actually read one online.
Yeah.
Let me read you the other one I wrote that has gotten a lot more reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. To the woman who gave me herpes. We had a magical night together. It started with drinks and an amazing conversation. We then ended up back at my place where we really got to know each other. The next morning, after I told you that I loved you, you said we had nothing in common, and you walked out of my life. I was devastated. I found and lost the love of my life. Every night I prayed to God to find a way to bring us together. Then something happened. I discovered I had herpes. The doctor gave me the results. I jumped for joy because we now have this in common. So what do you say? You want to give us a try? I hope you say yes. When you respond, tell me what the poster on the wall next to my bed is.
I like how there's always a puzzle at the end of it.
Well, no, I studied everything.
I guess that would make sense if it's a real one. I don't want just anyone, so solve this Sudoku puzzle real quick, and then.
So the response to this one has been pretty awesome. Wow, that's pretty fucking twisted, dude, and pathetic. I like that one. Kari Turner wrote, for once a woman walks out of a man's life with no looking back. Now you know exactly how women feel when a man does that. Thumbs up emoji.
Oh my God, she has a whole past.
Yeah. RP wrote, older white guy here. Anything I can do for you? Close by too. I have herpes too.
That's just you on a third account.
This one just came in from Dan McNamara. Man, why should you want a woman who broke your heart, gave you an STD for life, and you want her back in your life? Really? Why not just sign over your car, truck, residence, give her your credit cards, and just say, go have fun? Bite. There's plenty of fish in the sea. Be honest and forthright with the next woman in your life. Cast your line wisely and catch a good woman, a good, honest woman. Mac.
Dan is really looking out for you, I'd say.
I have some down the pipeline that'll go up tomorrow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that.
And this, of course, I've been doing this, but yeah, the Craigslist thing has been kind of interesting because everything is the same. Saw you at Kroger. You were hot. Should have talked to you. Didn't talk.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? I might not have an audience anymore on stage for the time being. I can have an audience on Craigslist, even though they don't know I'm fucking with them.
Right.
And then I'm going to turn it into a book with all the responses as well.
My responses to fake misconnections.
Yeah, I think the next one is about I'm looking for my mom after she abandoned me.
Oh, he's giving it real. Dan McNamara comments again. He's like, dude, you got to have higher standards for moms.
I might try to get Dan McNamara on the show. and the guy who's bi it has herpes too.
Yeah.
Man, that's really that's two really attractive qualities. Bi and has herpes. You took a beautiful love story about a guy who loves a woman, and the one thing they have in common is herpes.
We can really get together on this, and
man, this has been fun. I hope to see you sooner than later.
Yeah, me too, man. Thanks for having me on, and hopefully this is a we can get on a mic soon-ish.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, have you done any virtual mics yet?
No, I haven't.
Have you done any virtual comedy shows?
Nothing.
Probably for the best.
Yeah, did you do one?
I actually hosted a virtual mic, and I had fun doing that because I met comics from all over the world that came to it, like in Kentucky. But I was going to do it this past Thursday, but I just wasn't in the mood.
Yeah.
And
where'd you do it through? Here?
I did it on Zoom, yeah.
Okay.
I know Jason Spitzberger runs the Cabbage Patch every Friday night still, or the nightcap, but it's just weird doing comedy that way because we need the audience.
Yeah. I can imagine possibly, I don't know if I'll ever do one, but I could maybe get on with, if it was like, 10 comics logged in, like as if it was like the Cabbage Patch, something like that, and just if I can get a chuckle based on here's my premise.
Yeah, I did one in LA 2 weeks ago or last week, and it was a blast. I did some of my material, just some new shit, and people laughed, and I was like, all right, my stuff works on a virtual mic. But it was all comics.
Yeah.
It was like every mic. But
Right.
well, man, thank you so much. Tomorrow's guest is the one and only Connor Mead.
Okay.
If
Awesome, man. That'll be a good show. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. We'll talk soon, man. Stay safe.
You too. I'll see you.